Welcome back. Happy Sunday. This is the weekly pitching preview brought to you by Fantasy Baseball Cafe. I'm Jason Gilbo, breaking down two-start pitchers. Got a nice day-by-day streaming charts, and going to touch on some moves here that were made right before the deadline and have an impact on our fake world here. Starting off with some two-start pitchers, we're looking at a lot of aces this week. Max Scherzer, Corey Kluber, Felix Hernandez, who is making a start in Coors for what it's worth. Francisco Liriano, John Lester, all big names going this week. Looking through some tier 2 guys and tier 3, there's some I'm staying clear, and there's also some I'm going to target. Not a lot of safe streaming options for two starts, but I really like Tom Kohler for the Miami Marlins. He is facing the Mets at home, and he faces the Braves on the road. Kohler's been pretty good at home, got an ERA in the 2s. On the road, it's a different story. He's got an ERA in the 4s, but facing the Braves offense, I don't worry too much there. He has a 2.61 ERA in the month of July. It's been really solid. That would have been a lot lower if he could have avoided Bryce Harper in his last start against the Nationals. But other than that, Kohler's been pretty solid. Going to face two weaker offenses. You have to go back to June 10th when he allowed more than 3 runs, of course, dating back to just the other day. But Kohler's been really solid. Both offenses rank in the bottom 10 against right-handed pitching. Kohler's definitely out there for those who are in need of a two-start week. Another one, a little risky, but Danny Duffy for the Kansas City Royals has looked okay. Went into Toronto, gave up 5 earned, of course, but not many lefties fare well in Toronto anyway, so you kind of give him a pass there. He's going to face the Tigers in his first start this week, but that's an offense that's kind of dwindled down here. Only really JD Martinez is the one cranking right now. No Miggy, no Cespedes, Kinsler, Victor Martinez are both kind of off their games this season. Detroit has a nice 23% strikeout rate against lefties, which gives a nice boost to Duffy, and that ranks 8th in the league. His second start's going to come against the White Sox, who rank 11th in the strikeout rate with 22.1%, and the Red Sox or White Sox are just they're just an absolute awful against left-handed pitching with a 67 WRC plus, and Duffy's been another one who's been really solid, 2.51 ERA in July, really solid up until that last point against the Jays, but I really like him in both starts this week. Of course, a little more riskier against the Tigers, but I like him in his second start there. Another lefty we're looking at, this is a couple of two-start guys to really worry about. Jose Quintana for the White Sox going up against the Rays and the Royals, both really tough on left-handed pitching. The Rays strike out quite a bit against lefties, so I don't mind the risk there. The Royals, however, great on-base percentage, don't strike out a lot. They worry me about Quintana. I may sit both starts, but I also may fire him up against the Rays, kind of for what it's worth. If you take it or leave it there on that one, that's a little tough. But I'm definitely sitting him against the Rays. Or the Royals, sorry. Justin Verlander, another one facing the Royals and the Red Sox. Both offenses are capable of beating down on Verlander, who's just quite average these days. Not a lot to like about him. Yeah, he looked good against the Rays, but so do a lot of right-handed pitchers against the Rays. So I'm not really worried about risking the start for him there. A couple guys I don't want anything to do with. They come from Minnesota this week. Ervin, Santana, and Phil Hughes facing the Indians and the Jays, both on the road. I don't want any part of either of them. Both terrible ground ball rates, giving up a ton of homers. Two very friendly ballparks against some dangerous lineups. Of course, you get the Indians with the heavy lefty lineups, and of course the Jays. The Jays adding Ben Revere and Troy Tulowitzki there, so just beefing up that lineup. John Lackey, another one, kind of in the same boat. Heading into Cincinnati, that's a little risky. Reds been swinging pretty well. They kept everything intact on offense there. So it's a little risky to start him in Great American Ballpark. As far as Milwaukee goes in the second start, they've lost Carlos Gonzalez, Gerardo Parra, so they're looking a little weaker on the offensive side. I don't mind the start there. It's still Miller Park there can give up some runs, and Lackey's been known to have a shell in every now and then, even though he's been pretty good this season. Looking at some single bullet streamers for this week. Matt Cain on Monday, nice option there, as well as Tom Kohler. Willie Peralta is going to get the Padres. I like those three there. Tuesday, John Neese is going to face the Marlins. Lefty's been pretty decent. He's got an ERA in the mid-threes. Been limiting homers over the last couple starts. Looked pretty good. Tuesday, Jimmy Nelson. He'll face up against the Padres. Of course, like anyone against the Padres, Nelson's got a nice strikeout upside. Of course, he struggles with left-handed bats, but really the Padres don't have a lot of left-handed bats to attack him with. So Wednesday, we're going to stay in Milwaukee. Taylor Youngman's going to face the Padres. I like him there. So you really have a nice set of 3 Milwaukee Brewers there that you can line up against the Padres for that series. Thursday, we're going to skip Thursday. Not a lot going on there on the short slate. Not a lot to like. Friday, Mike Montgomery, Aaron Nola are nice guys to choose from there. Saturday, we're heading back to Tom Kohler, and Sunday, Duffy against the White Sox. I didn't list Duffy in the earlier of the week, but like I said, Tiger's a little risky, but if you like it, I like going forward on the 2 starts there. Look at some deadline moves that were made. I talked about Johnny Cueto and Scott Kazmir last week, and really like Cueto's upside, even though he struggled a little bit there. Kazmir has looked really good, but now we got Colt Hamels and David Price to talk about. Price in Toronto, Hamels in Texas, and the move to Toronto doesn't really scare me away from Price's value dropping at all. He's pitching the LEs for some time, knows the division. Yeah, you can make what it is against his ERA against some of those divisional teams, but I believe Price is in the same value range as he was before. Hamels, I'm not sure. He's moving to a big hitter's ballpark. Yeah, he's gonna have a little bit better offense behind him. I still don't like Hamels moving to Texas that much. I'm a little concerned. Yeah, you look at it against the Cubs, but he hasn't really looked great this season. Especially, you saw the Giants knocking around, but the Giants were tough on left-handed pitching anyway. They've knocked around Hamels in 2 of his last 3 starts for about 15 earned runs or so. So not good there. But like I said, yeah, he threw the no-hitter, but Hamels hasn't been great this season. And you're going to move him to the AL in a better hitting division, better hitting parks. It's going to be kind of sit and wait and see what we can get from Hamels, especially kind of going forward for the last month or so, because that's going to put him right in the rankings for next season. We're going to take this for what he does in the next few months and kind of pin it together of what we can expect in 2016, whether he's going to be a top guy or not. So some other smaller names, Mike Fiers is in Houston, Alex Wood in LA. Wood gets a bump moving to LA. I like the offense behind him. I like the defense. So nice. Wood hasn't been great, but he hasn't been bad either. Average lefty at best, but he's going to fill in nicely in the back end of the rotation. Going to be interesting to see who is on their way out. I believe Mike Bolsinger's out of the line or rotation there, and Brett Anderson's going to stay in because the Dodgers also did add Matt Latos. So we'll see what happens there. Got some bullpen news. A lot kind of shifted around. Ervin Mujica's going to pick up some chances for the A's, at least anyway now, with Tyler Clippard off to the Mets. Papelbon gets a big boost, saving games in Washington. A little disappointing for Storen owners because now he's a setup guy. If your league count saves, still pretty valuable there. Jim Johnson out for Atlanta. Arodys Vizcaino getting the saves now in Atlanta, so I like him there. Detroit, as if they even have a bullpen. They're just god-awful in the back end. But Alex Wilson, this guy probably closing games for Detroit. If you're desperate, I guess you can throw a dart and hope it hits with Alex Wilson, but that bullpen is just atrocious. Wrapping up with some injury news here. Big one, C.J. Wilson for the Angels going to have season-ending surgery on his elbow with bone spurs. Wilson was having a pretty nice season, nice streamer, nice back-end guy in deeper leagues. Even though his velocity's been shrinking, he's still been putting together a pretty decent year, but it's a little disappointing having to go out right now. Next on the list, Steven Strasburg needs another rehab start. He allowed 4 earned runs over the first 4 innings of his first one. This will likely be his last one, at least he just completely bombs, but then he should be back in Washington. AJ Burnett was roughed up in his last start. Could have been due to the elbow inflammation that he's going to the 15-day DL with. Burnett's been solid for the Pirates in each season he's been there, including this one. He should just miss the 2 weeks and then bounce right back into the rotation. Could see a rehab start, but I doubt it. Should be okay. And probably some of the bigger news, Michael Pineda hit the DL with a right forearm flexor strain. He's going to sit and be reevaluated here, but Pineda's going to be could be out for a month. I mean, according to the Yankees, they believe this could be an injury that keeps him out for pretty much all of August. A little curious since they didn't make a move there, but we'll see what happens with the Yankees here. They're pretty good lead out in the AL East, but the Jays and Orioles are going to make a move here. Rays too. So that's going to wrap it up here. Weekly pitching preview brought to you by Fantasy Baseball Cafe.